Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is talk to my chosen ones about the enemy statement, you think you know it all. You think you know it all, don't you? You got a smart face, smart mouth, smart throat, all of the above. But nah, like, we come across these statements, and I definitely fly across these statements, especially with me being in the space that I'm in now. With the statement of you think you know it all, you know? And I think for a lot of beings that's in this space that like to use this statement in these comments, my senses radar and my feelings usually guide me to them being guided by the witchy team, the opposite side, the other direction, you know what I'm saying? So when people be making these statements saying you think you know it all, more so what I take from it is not the fact that you think you know it all, is more so of the fact that you are more accurate with your information than they are. So to me, what happens is, as you start growing and ascending into these spaces, you realize that you're learning new information. You know, you're putting the time and work in to learn and intake this new information. You know what I'm saying? You want to put these downloads, you want to put new apps and remove apps from your computer. So breaking down the you know it all statement, right? You think you know it all. Like, if you think about, like, or dive into the spiritual realm of the people who like to throw these statements out here, you know, I already made it clear earlier, you know, that my information usually guides me to knowing what side and which team they're on and what they're led by. But if you're not being led that way, you naturally wouldn't come up with a statement saying you think you know it all, because you would be able to intake the conversation, the information that's being addressed or being brought to the table. You know what I'm saying? And usually when I come across these comments, it's usually like when there's some kind of weird friction in place, or like it's one of those conversations where somebody went to school for something and they feel like because they know the fucking witchy team information, they feel like that's accurate information to spew out to you, and you already know that your senses is not reading that shit as accurate, right? So being in this space where I'm at now, right, and just understanding that I don't know it all. I've been understood that I didn't know it all. Most of us in this space know that we don't know it all. That's why we're constantly learning and growing. But it's the motherfuckers who are not in that space, that's not growing and not learning, who like to make these statements because they had so much validity in their arguments and their debates when they was arguing with other witchy motherfuckers. So you got a whole team of witchy motherfuckers right here, and then this one is a little bit higher up on the witchy team than this one. But because this one knows better, it thinks that it's more accurate information. Considering that you're going by your team and your playbook, it is accurate information. But when you're looking at the bigger, grander picture of things, the natural flow of life, that's not what it is. When people make that statement about you think you know it all, where I'm at in my life now, I always make sure I let it be known that, look, I don't have all the answers, but I do have I do have some answers. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of answers. You know, I still got a lot of questions. I'm still diving into a lot of shit. But what happens is, people make it seem like we're all equal on all levels. We are not all equals on all levels. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Not nobody, no disrespect, but nobody in no wheelchair is gonna be equal to me physically because you have no legs. That's just the facts. You know, not saying that they're a lesser being or person, but they're not equal to me in that manner. That's just the facts. It's no different than if you see a dog with 4 legs and one with 3 legs. They're not equal. They just have it set up and situated to where people just blindly ignore the obvious. You know, common sense is not even common anymore. So you have to remember, like, when people are making these statements like you think you know it all, you know, no, I don't know it all. But clearly I know more than you, and I'm okay with that. That's like me talking to my daughter about some shit and her thinking that she knows more than me depending on which area it is. You know what I'm saying? If I'm talking to her about like cooking or tying shoes or any of this shit, she's not in that field. She hasn't been doing this long enough. You know, so if she's like, Daddy, oh, you think you know it all? I don't know it all, but I know a lot more than you. That is just the fucking facts. And a lot of times out here, people like to avoid the facts or reality, or there's no other or. Because over here, we already understand they're riding with the other team. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day and I realized, like, a lot of these animals, these plants, a lot of this shit out here is a reflection of us. We're a reflection of it. So I feel like some of these animals wouldn't exist if humans, you know, as spiritual beings having a human experience, wasn't able to take on some of those quality characteristic traits. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see some people move really slow, and it's been that way their whole life. So they move kind of like a sloth or a snail or a turtle, and you start thinking of all of these slow moving animals that could correlate and correspond with that. And that's why in the movies, the other team, why we, hey, keep it down some. That's why in the movies you see them emulate the lions, the tigers, because we all know that it's a spiritual connection, a time between there. That's also why they used sheep, you know? And that's why we still use sheep to this day. You can have one dog herding a fucking at least 100 to fucking 400 or 500 sheep, probably even more, to be honest with you. Because their whole design is to follow and to be in, they're just designed to fucking follow. You don't see sheep running around doing their own thing. That's not how that animal structure is built. And I don't have nothing to do with knowing it all. That's just looking at the reality of the facts, you know? A lot of people will make it seem like it's like what they're saying has more validity because of what you're bringing to the table doesn't meet their standards in today's society. You know, before we had to have all this hard physical evidence, we all just kind of knew. You know, and that's how we all operated and vibrated. And there was no masking and all this other weird shit, you know. The outside of me, this, my muscles, this vessel, this is all a reflection of me from within. That's how it's supposed to be. I'm just reflecting outward. This isn't me running around trying to mask or do this over here differently and then act one way over here, differently over here, and twisting and turning all of these things. So when you start getting to a certain place in your journey, it's not the fact that you have all the answers. It's you have a lot of answers. That's what I tell them. I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of answers. I already understand that this shit is infinite out here. Once you start growing in this space, you realize you can just keep going forever. For us, we were taught that it stops once you get out of school or once you get to a certain age or a certain number. It never stops. This information is infinite out here, because once you figure out one thing, it's a whole nother angle, or it goes even deeper within. You know, that's even like us trying to understand trees, which we call trees because we had to identify them. You know what I'm saying? But it's a big difference between being confident in your knowledge and information and your wisdom that you obtain throughout your lifespan, and just reading some books and shit, you know, and not really having no real correlations or connection to it, other than other people said this was a good book and it was okay, it's stamped and verified. So if I read it, that means whoever wrote this book is stamped and verified and they're legitimate. That's not always the case. That's why I always think it's important that you be pretty confident in your space. You know, whether somebody got a plane flying over. So just understanding and being confident in your being, just knowing that in today's society, you have to use your ego as your best friend. If people are telling you otherwise, then fuck it. You go ahead and crash your dumb ass out if you want to. But if for me, as a being and understanding that this is a war, I'm going to use my ego as a best friend. I'm a warrior. This is what the fuck I do. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm in a room full of 10 people and I'm the only healthy being and there's 9 other motherfuckers in here and they all with you, damn right I'm gonna use my ego. I don't give a fuck if they feel like I'm carrying it like I'm better than them. That's the energy I'm projecting, motherfucker. I do it intentionally. I don't know why people get so irritated, aggravated, or frustrated when somebody is being honest. That's mind-blowing to me. If I'm like, if it's other people around and it's not being done in an unhealthy manner, like if somebody's confident in their being, they should be fucking confident in it and stand on it. Especially if you following the natural flow of things when you know you're gonna be resistant wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? So you gonna need every bit of spiritual strength and balance that you can have to manage through, because they working these spells consistently. Every other week or new day, it's a new word that's being brought out or coming out that has some kind of weird spell behind it. You know what I'm saying? So that's even like with the title Chosen Ones. You know, it doesn't matter if we use that title Chosen Ones. For some, it just help identify to be able to separate this from that. But other people take it as, oh, well, it makes you seem like you're better than other people. So fucking what? If they not putting in the work, then yes, you are better than them. I'm sorry to tell you that. And I'm not sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody not putting in the work, they not putting in the work. It's weird to me that people always think, oh, we all equal, we all do this and we all do that. Like, that's great that you would like that to be the case, but that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? We are equal as is, and we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like an overall equality thing, we already know that's not what's going on. It's wartime. So I'm not gonna even sit here around and dance in between the middle as if we can manage without getting some kind of structure down. We have to get some kind of structure down. You know what I'm saying? So if you are one of them people and you follow the natural flow and people tell you all the time you think you know it all, fuck them. If they not researching and bringing you more information or newer information in that area department or shit that's gonna open up your perspective differently, fuck them. You are right. You do know more than them. I will always correct them. I would never say I know it all, but I would say I do have a lot of answers, or I know more than you. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm saying I know more than you, that means present something on the table that shows that you know more than me in this area, so we can kind of come up with some kind of common ground. Simple process. You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid to get in the ring and box my friends and hop back out and go get a meal together. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of being that I am. If I gotta whoop your ass to teach you a lesson, you're gonna take this ass whooping. If we gotta get in the ring and you gotta do the same thing or get close to beating me, then I will take that. I never had a problem taking a hit or taking a blow. Trust me. And I know a lot of y'all haven't either, which is why we still grinding through this process and we still lighting this bitch up. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.